when the company shut down, it was a big void, right?
Yeah.
And with the redevelopment that was going on, it was like a sort of we were like guinea pigs, weren't we, Joe? It had never been done before. We were trying to regenerate the area, so all the new ideas, like your firms and other firms, was new. Would that be true, Joe?
There's a great lot of effort put into draw new industries in new development areas. One of the biggest things was, what should we do with the old steelworks site? Various plans were drawn up, used for leisure facilities, use it as an extension to the town centre, retail, light industry. Various things were put forward. The Genesis project was started, but I wasn't on the council when the steelworks closed. I went on quite a few years after, and I was involved on the environmental issues involved with the steelworks, and the biggest thing was the contamination, and it's still a thing that's still been inherited. There's some sites, some places within the steelworks site that would be impossible to develop. Places where the Felcoaks works was a lot of contamination. All these had to be looked at. There's various other sites where, because of the infrastructure wasn't in place, it would cost a phenomenal amount of money to redevelop. And we were trying to get developers to come in. At one stage, we were on the brink of bringing a big company in who actually did the airbags in the cars. You know, they were going to develop that. And one of the big things and the drawback was we lost the Shotley Bridge Hospital. And one of those, because we worked with explosives, they wanted a hospital on the doorstep. And because Shotley Bridge Hospital closed, they withdrew. And that would have been a major impact on the community. It would have employed a lot of people. So it was a long time since I was a councillor, but I was on the council 20 years. Right. So there was quite a lot to...
The changes.
And a lot of changes.
Yeah, yeah. So, you've sort of touched upon some of the things that the council did. In retrospect, you know, it's a wonderful thing, isn't it? Hindsight, 20/20 vision, isn't it? But in retrospect, what do you think that they did well, and what do you think they did less well then? About redeveloping the site, about that transformation of a town that would be the steel town to not being a steel town. You know, what was...
Well, at the time you also had the engineering companies, you had the reduction in the coal industry. We had a major engineering company, Bolton's, who, because of the coal industry in decline and closing the pits down, that had other impacts on. But we also, at the time, we did redevelop the No.1 industrial estate. We did get people like Phileas Fogg, who were, you know, have put Cods on the map. Electrac, innovation within the electrical industry, and a lot of other small companies did start up their little businesses in there. But, as Alan was saying, grants. And you can only give the grants if you get central government funding towards that. And you look at the revenue that was lost that the steelworks was bringing in. We used to get, you had your domestic rates used to pay, you have your industrial developers used to pay money into the local authority. All that money was reduced. That had a major impact on how we could redevelop the town centre and bring new industry into the area. A lot of young kids at school, their futures all had to be looked at because we didn't have the industry, we didn't have the commerce within the area to actually redirect them to new, I would say, new talents. We highlighted about the Country Technical College. I was an apprentice, John was an apprentice, Fred was an apprentice, Alan was in the TRD. We all had our own little niches where we could move on. But for young kids who were at school, who were coming up to take the GCSEs or the O-levels, whatever they wanted to call them, they had to look totally different and try to accommodate some sort of avenue where the children that were leaving school could direct themselves and build a future for themselves. And it was a huge, huge struggle right your way through.
Do you feel angry yourself about that, this whole thing, or elements of it? Or?
Well, unfortunately, because of the decline in the steel industry at the time, I'd left the steelworks and found employment before the steelworks closed, so I was left nearly a year before the steelworks closed. But my father worked there, my brother worked there, my wife worked there, and it did have a major impact towards the... When you used to finish work, you could go home, you talk to this one, laugh about things that happened. That had all just died. We all went in our own different directions, looking new skills, new jobs, and a lot of the camaraderie. When we finished work, about 2 to 10, you'd go down to the Black Hill Club, you'd go to the Concert No.1 Club. On a weekend, it wasn't just working with the lads at work, you socialise with them all the time, and that was lost in the community. We still get together and we reminisce. I go on a quite often meeting with some of the old steel, the first hands and the people at the steel plant and various other places. And that's what we do now, reminisce. And it's good, we enjoy it. And it brings back happy memories of what, and it was happy times at the steelworks.